Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video.
If you're new here, my name's Chris, this is
Charlene.
Charlene, and together with our dog Holly, we've been living and travelling in our motorhome for the last 3.5 years now. We've been to around 25 countries, I think, in total with the van, and today we're going to address a really common question that we get. We're going to answer which is our favourite country for van life. For the first video of 2025, we're going to go in a bit of detail and explain our favourite 10 places that we've been and why we love them. Yeah, before we get started, hit the like button, give us a bit of help, come on.
Yes, it helps a lot.
And I just want to add as well that these are our opinions, so it depends on obviously our experience, maybe the time of year we went there. So at the end of the video, if you don't agree with anything, if you think maybe we've missed out a country or something, just let us know in the comments and we'd love to hear from you. But anyway, we need to get started now. So I'm going to kick off with number 10.
Yeah. Number 10 is Denmark. I know Denmark is a place where we visited last year. I have to get used to this, right? Last year.
Yeah,
We're
it's
still at the
2025
very
now.
beginning of 2025. So last year, yes, we visited Denmark and it was amazing experience. We parked by the sea. In other places, we parked in woodland. A lot of barbecue areas where you can just go and enjoy yourself there. Another thing we loved about Denmark was the amount of wildlife that there is. Thousands of birds, deer, seas as well.
You know us, we love the mountains, so Denmark is a pretty flat country, so you wouldn't think we'd really like it. But I think that's it really. It had so many different things. And I think for us it was the gateway, like between, we had just come from the Netherlands, we went into Germany and then into Denmark, and then we kicked off our Scandinavia trip. And I think Denmark is just that perfect mix between the Netherlands and Sweden.
The houses are
Norway.
very similar to Netherlands. They are all like clean and all beautiful. While we were driving, there were so many spots where one can just stop to spot the birds, and so many people were carrying what do you call this? Binoculars, big binoculars.
Telescope?
Telescope? No, just
That's the big long one.
Yeah.
I don't know, what were they carrying?
I don't know, they were just big, and some of them they had cameras as well.
We visited this bird observation centre. It was really nice, and like I mentioned, it just gave us an idea of what was to come as we went further up in Scandinavia. I think the one downside with Denmark though was it was very expensive, and we weren't expecting that. I think the fuel and everything was
Super
okay, but the
expensive.
groceries were just so expensive.
Yes. And you forgot the dunes as well. The beaches and the
Lovely.
dunes. The sand dunes were amazing. Those boats were really nice.
Yeah,
as
for us it
well.
was a bit windy when we went to the sand dunes, so it quickly turned into a nightmare. But
Yeah, I think it's a normal thing in Denmark to be windy.
yeah, a
And
lot
we
of wind.
visited also the west part of Denmark, so we haven't been in Copenhagen and in like the other side.
Yeah, we haven't been to the eastern part. We've been like to the centre, all along the western coast, all along the north coast, and then from there we got the ferry across to Sweden.
So overall, Denmark is a small country, but it's filled with wildlife and nature. It thrives there, and that's something that I really, really love about Denmark.
So moving on to number 9, we've got Albania. And this was another special place for us. We visited the year before last, and we went there around autumn, the beginning of winter. And obviously our experience is based on the off season. So I guess if you were to go there in summer, you're going to have a whole different experience. And I think it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for nightlife, going to the clubs, maybe restaurants and stuff like that,
It's perfect for you.
you really need to go in summer. You're going to have a lot of people, but you're going to have to go in summer. For us, we absolutely loved it in winter. We had the beaches to ourselves.
We swam as well in December.
It was amazing. We actually went to this private beach, which I imagine in summer is packed, and we had it all to ourselves. The road was a bit sketchy because we hardly got back up again, but absolutely beautiful. The colour of the water is just insane.
Turquoise.
We had so many park-ups by the beach, which again I think wouldn't be possible in summer. And apart from that, it was really cool because there's a whole different culture there, and the food is amazing. And we even got to visit some of these charming towns like Kruja,
Griocaster.
Yeah, we went.
That was really beautiful.
Yeah, we went in a bunker as well, underground bunker from the Cold War. The tour only cost like €2, so when you're in countries like this, you enjoy it even more because you're not breaking the bank to do these activities. Where else did we go? Yeah, to the Blue Eye. That was just beautiful, and the whole coastline, absolutely stunning. We stayed at a really beautiful campsite in Saranda, which off season was like €15 a night, and in summer it's like 30 or 40. So another reason really. And we just enjoyed the fact that we had a lot of the places to ourselves.
Yeah, it's so beautiful there. We really miss the breeze, like when you see the beach, it's got like the summer vibes, I really love it.
And that's something that we definitely missed this year, because we came back from Scandinavia and it was pretty cold. So we had a cold autumn, and so far we've had a cold winter as well. So last year it was nice to kind of start off winter a bit warmer. But yeah, what can you do? What can you do?
So number 8 is Slovenia, and I think this country was in the top area, like with number 5, number 4 earlier in the years. But now, since we visited more countries, it's dropping bit by bit. But it's still one of the best countries for van life, and even if you love to see nature, mountains, forests, it's so beautiful. And there are some areas where campsites are super expensive. They charge like €50 a night, and that tend to be the touristic areas. Whilst the other parts of Slovenia, like the south and the east part of Slovenia, it's more rural and it's very quiet, like Denmark is, and you get to find free spaces as well. And also the people are so friendly. The food is really good as well, and the groceries aren't that expensive.
Yeah, that's it. With a country like that, you are in Europe, but it's starting to go to the east and the prices are a bit more cheaper. You can kind of eat out a bit more and do different activities. What we found is, as Charlie mentioned, you've really got to split the country in two. You've got the Lake Bled, Sorcha Valley, Bohine, Julian Alps, which is tourist hotspots. And over there you can't really park up for free. The campsites are really expensive.
Camping is illegal in Slovenia.
Over there for sure.
You can't just go and park wherever you like.
But then outside those areas we had no problem whatsoever. There's like free spots, and there's so many camping opportunities as well. There's loads of service points for free. It makes it easy when you're in that side of the country. So the way we saw it, we go everywhere really where we want to, but we spent a lot more time outside of the tourist areas, and we tried to like go in for a week or two in the tourist areas, because it does get expensive. And then as you go outside, you've got like hot springs, which we really enjoyed. Charlene went for a swim, I think it was in January or February, so that was crazy. And then I went on a bear hunt as well, and I got to see a brown bear, because a lot of brown bears there in Slovenia in the forest, and that was an absolutely amazing experience that I'll never forget, where I went with this kind of expert in the forest. He taught me everything about bears. We tracked them, and at
there's a whole video about it on YouTube, so you can watch that.
Yeah, obviously you see in the clips now, all of these that we're mentioning are, I would say 99.9% all on YouTube already on our channel. So if maybe you're new here, you started watching the last few months, you can go back and check out any of them. But yeah, Slovenia, small, beautiful country. We've been there a few times, but we haven't really been recently, have we? So,
no.
Yeah, we need to get back there at some point. So the next one on the list is number 7. It's Germany. And it's actually where we are now. Now,
coincidentally, right?
Yeah, Germany is a huge country. We were a bit torn whether to put Germany here or France.
It's hard.
But I'll explain a bit why we chose Germany, because they're very similar countries. But with Germany, first of all, it's one of the largest countries in Europe, and it's just so big that you've got like the mountains in the south, the Bavarian Alps, so many pristine lakes. You've got these fairy tale castles that we've visited, like Neuschwanstein and so many others. Then you've got Berchtesgaden, which is just really a continuation of this. And then to the west, you've got the Black Forest and so many camping spots. It's so van life friendly over there.
You've got the wine fields as well there, Moselle.
Further north, along the river, more castles. And then right in the north, somewhere we visited last year, it was just so nice and quiet.
Yeah, and we saw so many deer. Something that we don't get to see very often here in the south of Germany. So that was really brilliant idea.
Yeah, you saw the fox
to go
as well,
there.
didn't you?
Yeah, I saw a fox. It was amazing.
Apart from having all these different things, you've got what's called these Stellplatz, which are basically free motorhome stops where you've got all the services, you can park up. Some of them you have to pay like 8 to 15 euros maybe. There are a lot of them that are free as well, so that's really easy when you're traveling around.
Groceries in Germany aren't that expensive compared with Austria, where we've been before coming here. They're like normal prices, let's put it that way. But the people here are a bit strict, but not everyone, because when we traveled on the other side of Germany, they were so friendly. One guy, he removed his car so we could park our van. So that was really nice. But in this area where we are, we're very close to Munich, and it's like very different here.
This week at the supermarket, there was this guy, he just walked by the van, looked at our number plate, and then he went, what did he do?
I don't know.
He went like this or something, I don't know, I forgot.
Yeah, he was a bit.
But again, it's
rude.
just one
but-
person, and they tend to be a bit cold here as well sometimes. But then when you get to know them, they're the most friendliest. So it's really hard to explain. Again, it depends on where you are. As Shali mentioned, when you leave the tourist places,
Yes.
similar to most countries,
And
it's just so
the
nice.
thing is, we travel so much. We've been to many different countries. So we compare some countries with others. Like, for example, we compare Germany with Austria or with Italy, you know. So you need to adapt when you are traveling in a van. It's one of the things that we've learned while living on the road, that you have to adapt to the places where you go.
Yeah, and something that's like here in Germany, everything is so expensive with the vans. So if you need a mechanic or anything to do with the motorhome, it's just so expensive here. Whereas when you're in other countries like in Albania, that we mentioned, in Slovenia, it's a bit more harder to find help, but then they're just so much more nicer. They have more time for you, and it's just cheaper as well. Like, we've paid some really expensive prices here in Germany, but seeing that we're living on the road, if something goes wrong, some things you have to fix in that country. So it's a bit unlucky. If it happens in Germany, we sometimes need to fix it in Germany or go to like one of the neighbouring countries if we can get there. As I mentioned, France is very similar to Germany as well in that respect, because there, instead of the Stellplatz, they've got the French airs. There's actually more of them over there, so it's even easier to travel around and get your services. What I will say is that the German ones are in really good condition, whereas in France sometimes you go there and something's not working. But yeah, overall very similar countries. Obviously with France you have the Riviera in the south as well, so that's definitely a positive. But the reason why we chose Germany for this list is because of safety and like petty crime, because in France it just kind of got out of control. I touched on this a few weeks ago in my video when I was in France, when I went to do the vehicle test, and it's like you can't even imagine going to Paris or Lyon or Marseille and leaving your van there, because you're going to come back to a broken window or something. And in Germany, like not far away here in Munich and Hamburg in the north, and even in smaller cities like Augsburg and Tübingen, we stop at these places and we just park up the van really in the
And
city.
we just walk in.
Yeah, no issues whatsoever. You see loads of vans parked up.
And even people just park their van just outside their houses, you know. Unlike the UK, here it's very, very safe.
Yeah, and
In the
they
UK,
even
we
leave-
see so many things about robbery and stuff like that.
Yeah, they even leave their caravans and stuff. Like last night, we parked up in an industrial estate not far from here, and it was just a whole old van. Some of them, I think, they just leave them and go to work, and yeah, it's a whole different thing here. So I would say that the airs maybe are better in France because there's more, and they're not used that often, at least in the off season. In summer, they get a lot of traffic. But here in winter, there's a lot of Germans that love motorhomes. So all the Stellplatz, like this one we're in now, is practically full. And at night time, they come looking for more places. But I think it's the safety that really we love here in Germany, that obviously anything can happen anywhere. But overall, we've spent so much more time in Germany when compared to France, and we've had no issues whatsoever here. Whereas in France, we've seen so many bad stories and even had like some encounters that
Yeah.
we didn't
And
enjoy.
this makes a really big impact when you live in a van. This is something
sure.
that you have to consider every time, because this is our home. So when we travel in it, this is our main concern.
Yeah, if you go somewhere, I don't mind going like to visit a tourist spot. Maybe it's not safe. We pay for a campsite one night. The next day we get out of there.
You know.
Whereas if you're in a safe place, you can just kind of relax, and you can spend an extended time. And even if you leave your van, you don't have to worry about anything like that. So that's it. Germany in number 7. Was it number 7? I need to check the list now.
I don't know. I forgot.
Yeah, number 7.
Number 6 is Italy.
Bella Italia.
Italiano. We stayed quite some time in Italy, I would say, and we really loved it. Before having the van, we were coming and going frequently.
Yeah. But this video is about van life destinations, so
Yes.
we're going to try and remain unbiased.
Focused
Yeah.
on van life. With the van, we started our trip actually from Sicily, and then we drove all the way up, and it was really nice. We visited some places like Tuscany, and then after that we stayed always in the northern part of Italy, which is the Dolomites, and those are amazing. I mean, it doesn't feel like the south part. As soon as you just skip Lake Garda, the landscape changes.
Italy has that thing where it's got so many different regions that it's like different countries, where you've got like the South Tyrol and the mountainous region, the north is just like Austria really. And then
it's
you go
very
down to
clean as well.
Tuscany and it kind of gets a bit more maybe dirtier, but it's still absolutely beautiful. As you go down south, it's so nice as well,
Yeah.
but driving does get crazier as soon as you go south of Rome, and then even crazier when you go south of Naples. And then you've got like some islands like Sicily and stuff like that. So I think it's a
Italy
really...
ticks all the boxes, I think,
That's
because
it,
you got the beaches, good food like pizza and pasta, my
History.
favorites, of course, history, and then in the north part of Italy you got the beautiful mountains.
Yeah, we were last there in November, if you watched the video about a month ago, where we explained that Dolomites is really a place that we love. We thought we were going to spend so much time there, but there's not really much places to stay with the van unless you stay in an expensive campsite. So we don't really spend as much time as we originally planned. We thought we were going to spend so much time there.
But they're the friendliest, to be honest. I mean, when
Italian people, yeah, definitely.
yeah, they're so friendly, and they're just calm. It just feels home for us when we go there, because it's very similar to our country. And
Yeah, we're from Malta, so
yeah, it's so
we've got a lot of
cool,
Italian
right?
culture, and we've got an idea of a few languages. Like I used to speak French, although I don't
This helps
even
as
attempt
well.
it now. Charlie knows Spanish, we know a bit of German as well, but it's so basic. And like with Italian, we can't speak it perfectly, but we've got a good understanding. And it's the only country where we can feel like we're abroad, but at the same time,
We're home.
we can have a conversation with someone. All right, we mess up all the verbs and everything, but they understand us. And we understand practically 89% of what they're saying. So it makes it really cool when we're travelling in Italy. Italy also has quite a few free airs, depending on the area that you're in. They've got a similar problem to France, I would say, like around the big cities like Rome, Naples and stuff like that. You have to kind of watch out because of all this petty crime. And yeah, the service points are good. We've used them before, but there's not a lot, so they tend to get busy. And just like France, they are sometimes a bit run down. Like, must have been a good idea like 20 years ago when they did them, but these things need maintenance
Just
and
let them.
they just leave them there. So, but the ones that do work and are free,
They're good.
Are really
They're
good,
We
so-
can't complain. It's a beautiful country, so
that's right.
it's really nice.
Number 5 is Switzerland, and some may argue that this is the most beautiful country in the world. For us, obviously, we're going to talk about our experience there. It's made it to the top 10, so it's definitely one of our favourites, and it's in number 5. And yeah, people are right. It is absolutely stunning there. It's just like you're looking at a postcard all the time. So beautiful. Greenery, you've got the blue lakes, the mountains, everything is just so perfect. Obviously, it's a rich country, so it's very clean, and whatever you do there, like activity-wise, it's just top-notch. Traveling there with a van, though, can be
A nightmare.
a nightmare, or oh god, it depends really. It depends. It's a bit difficult.
I don't know. I speak for myself, but I felt so anxious driving there.
Yeah, the roads are. Some of the roads are. So if you're on the main road, you've got no issue there. In Switzerland, you can pay like €40 a year. You have the vignette, and you get on the main roads. Those are just perfect. But then when you go into the mountains, there are some narrow roads, and the Swiss do drive fast. Even in regards to park ups, in some areas, like the tourist areas, you have to go and park up in the mountains, because in all of the towns and valleys, there's just no camping signs everywhere. And this does taint a little bit of the experience. But again, if you go there, you just have to expect to pay a bit extra than you normally would. Not just on campsites, you've got groceries, You've got gas, parking.
Everything
is just double the price, really.
yeah,
And you have
super
to go in
expensive.
expecting that. And I think if you go in expecting that, you really, really enjoy Switzerland. And then in regards to the landscape in Switzerland, although it's not on our list, I have to mention Austria as well, specifically like the Vorarlberg region, which touches the Swiss border. And then you've got Tyrol and Salzburg as well, where the Swiss landscape and mountains kind of continue into Austria. It's a bit more cheaper in Austria, but very, very beautiful as well, just the same. And I think our experience in Switzerland, we've been there a few times actually now, but with the van, we only did one trip. And during that trip, we had a few issues, like our clutch went as soon as we entered Switzerland. That was a real nightmare. And then our leisure battery started smelling, so we had to switch it off and get that replaced. Our brakes went as well. So it was a bit of a nightmare time in Switzerland where everything went wrong.
I
But
don't know what happened.
yeah, but although we had those negative things, it still makes number 5. And it's a very, very beautiful country. And if it wasn't as expensive, it could even be a number 4, number 3, maybe a number 2. I don't know. We'll see.
Nah, number 4, it's enough.
It's number 5.
Number 5. Number 4 is Sweden, and we traveled there last year. It was our first time in Sweden, and we really, really loved it. I loved everything about Sweden, to be honest. One thing I hated are the mosquitoes.
Yeah, we'll start off with the bad stuff first. Yeah?
Oh my god, the amount of mosquitoes that there is incredible. You can't even just make a barbecue outside because they eat you alive. But apart from that, it was heaven. Although we had some as well.
Yeah, similar to Switzerland, we had
we had
some issues, yeah, which kind of taint the experience. But again, as same as Switzerland, like Sweden, we've put it at number 4, so it's a really top place for us.
country,
Yeah.
You got the lakes, you got the countryside. There are no mountains in the south area where we stayed most of our time, but there are a lot to see. And the people are so friendly. They speak English as well. That is something that we struggle when we travel. Like when we live in a van and we live in these different countries. These countries that we mentioned before, none of them are English speakers. Sweden was the first country, I think, that we visited. They speak English, apart from the UK. We were so impressed, and it's so clean as well. Yeah, we loved it.
Yeah, I think Sweden it's such a huge country that even as you go further north, it just gets more and more remote. We went to some amazing national parks, parked up by the lake. In some areas it's a bit busy, which is nice because you can find everything you need. In fact, we went to a Truma shop, we went to a motorhome repair to get some stuff done, and I think we received the best service that we've ever received for a really cheap price as well.
They were so helpful.
Yeah, Sweden reminds us so much of the UK, like Charlie mentioned, because people kind of live in the areas together, especially in the south. But what it has special is that then you can get out of there and get into nature.
And it's so easy because nature is everywhere, right?
Yeah, quite a few spots for motorhomes as well, and everything is so organised. Like the only thing that I will say is like we had some bad issues. We had a health scare with Holly, and then at one point a guy followed us for about 40 minutes and we have to call the police. But again, that's a whole other story. But that didn't really affect our judgment on the country because, man, we love it. I don't know. It's one of those places which we visited last year for the first time, and it's definitely somewhere where we want to go again. We stayed at some amazing campsites as well, like in the south, by the lake. We did some swimming there. There's a lot of wildlife as well, like there's some bears in the north. We didn't see any. Moose, and then in the south we saw a lot of snakes, which a lot of you guys from Sweden told us that's not common, and for some reason
we saw like 3 or 4
within 2 or 3 days, which was crazy. And then like the week after we saw 1 or 2, but then after that we didn't see any more. So I think we were just lucky, like we were there, or lucky or unlucky, however you want to look at it. We were there at the really hot period of time and we just saw a lot of snakes. But it's funny really reading some of your comments, people saying I've lived here for 35 years and I've never seen a snake. And I'm like, okay, you must be a snake magnet or something.
And the other thing about Sweden is the supermarkets. They have everything. They got these big, huge supermarkets. Everything is different in the supermarkets when it comes to like cash out, and all of the brands. They are so nice and they have a lot of variety. And they got the sweets, those sweets. Oh my god, I really miss them. The juju, we call it a manto.
Too many sweets. I think the most thing for Sweden is the size and the remoteness. Like we went down so many dirt track roads and you just find the paradise awaiting you. We actually need to go there again. Like we definitely need to go. We need to go to all these places that we're mentioning today again. Sweden is definitely one where we want to go and explore more in the north as well, and even in the centre of the country. Some of you guys recommended so many places and we didn't get to see half of them really. So on to number 3, Scotland. Now this is another very special place. We visited the year before, so about 2 years ago now nearly.
Yeah.
Or this summer will be 2 years. And it's another one of those beautiful remote places. We spent about 2 months, I think, in Scotland. We did like the first few weeks in the centre of the country near like Cairngorms and the forest areas around there. Really, really beautiful and nice. And then we did the NC 500, which is a famous route along the northern coast of Scotland. We started from the east and then we went up north and towards the west and then on the Isle of Skye. And it was a really, really nice experience, something that we were really looking forward to. And I know a lot of people go in their motorhome as well and vans to do it. So much there really, wildlife. We saw so many deer, we saw seals, we saw dolphins. Yeah, we saw a reindeer there as well. It was very calm and we actually got close to this reindeer. He's actually used to tourists. I've seen so many photos with him after we went. I thought we were just lucky. He was just sleeping there in the sun. And then as you go towards the north and the west, you just see these huge mountains. And then the Isle of Skye is just impressive. The only thing that we would say is that by the time we got to the west, it got really busy because we were in summer. Isle of Skye was crazy, just traffic everywhere. We even skipped some of the places that we wanted to visit because there was too many people, and that kind of stops you from doing some things. But nonetheless, absolutely stunning scenery all around the country.
As soon as we crossed Durness, the drive from Durness all the way down was like, wow, jaw-dropping all the time. It was so beautiful, I remember.
Incredible, really. And what I will say is that maybe it's not as equipped for vans. There were some amazing park-ups, don't get me wrong, but it seems there were some areas like there were bottlenecks and there was like so many vans and campsites were so expensive and full up. And then in other areas it was a bit nicer. So I think they need more service points as well for the amount of vans that go. But I don't know, like we had a lot of feedback as well from locals because there's always that situation in every country really where in the tourist places you've got the locals that just want to live a quiet life, and then you've got people that want to come and explore, and then there's obviously business people in the area that want to bring as many tourists as possible so they can make money from their campsite, from their bar, from their restaurant, or whatever they do. So it's always like this kind of big tug of war between these three groups of people, and we kind of understand each of them. Like in Scotland, everyone was so friendly, but there was this one lady that just wanted to pass by, you know, and she started offending us. Sorry?
I've got somewhere to go. Would you like to f*** off? Hurry up!
But anyway, there's just one person. We found it funny at the time. Like, obviously, we understand the frustration, but that's
The
not
way
the way
she
to speak to anyone.
acted,
Yeah.
she acted like the road was hers, you know, and we were driving on this road without a permission. But that wasn't the case.
Yeah, we've got a road license. We
But
paid
this
it
happens
and-
everywhere, right? Like in
Yeah.
Amalfi Coast, in Croatia.
Yeah, it's an issue that
It's everywhere. Like
there are some
only in
solutions though.
Scotland.
Like in that road we were, they could make it one way for motorhomes, and there's like some different rules. And with some thought, I think there's a few things that can be done. There's a lot more infrastructure that needs to be looked at there. And I also saw that as of last year, they introduced like a motorhome tourist tax. I think it's like £40 a week or something. I don't know too much about it really. So if any of you have been last year, or you've heard about it, let us know what that is, because we definitely want to go back at some point. Yeah, but I read about it. I'm not sure how that works exactly, but yeah, do let us know in the comments if you know anything about the £40 tourist tax for motorhomes on the NC 500.
Second place, guys. It's Turkey. Woohoo! I still miss this country, to be honest. It was one of our best places that we visited with the van.
Yeah, keep in mind we visited at the beginning.
Yeah.
So we visited about 3 years ago.
3
So
years
we were in
ago.
Europe, and then that was our first trip outside of Europe. So
And it was really incredible just to park everywhere we like. It's so easy there.
Freedom.
Yeah, it feels free, really. We visited touristic places along with non-touristic places. And that was amazing because we got to see the two sides of Turkey. And I remember one time we were driving and we parked just in front of this wide nature park, you know, bird park.
Yeah, birds
And it
everywhere.
was really, really incredible. So we started along the coast and then we went up to Cappadocia, went to Istanbul as well and Ankara, which was amazing too. But we really loved the coastline. It was really something different and they have a lot of historic sites. Welcome to episode. And this is something that I really love as well. Before going to Turkey, I used to watch a lot of videos about the Ottomans and, you know, the history of Turkey.
So much history there.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's paradise. Regarding campsites and park-ups, parking was pretty easy for us. We could park everywhere. I remember this particular place in Lake Salda. It was so amazing. We parked all alone and
Yeah, by the lake. Then there's Lake Tuz, the Salt Lake. We parked just
Yeah.
beside the lake. Cappadocia is just a story on its own because you parked up there in the middle of this magical land. Balloons fill the sky. It's just insane. And even along the coast, so many park ups by the beach.
and we swam there as well.
Yeah, so much.
It
Holly
was-
had a brilliant time there swimming. It's just a taste of freedom, really.
Yeah, the food is really good too.
Give me some gozleme every day.
So good. I really miss the chai too. And the people are really, really friendly.
The best, yeah.
They're so friendly. They help you and they always smile at you. And the hospitality is just 10 out of 10
So-
every time.
Similar to Albania, Turkey is a bit cheaper as well to travel. Although it's getting more and more expensive as the years go by. It's a bit cheaper than here in Central Europe. So we tend to eat out a bit more and it's a bit more relaxed as well. Like the campsites are a bit cheaper for what you get. Some of the services are not the best. Sometimes it can get a bit difficult to find certain things like shops and stuff like that. It does get a bit difficult. Or even if you want some services for the van, you might go somewhere on Google Maps and you don't find anything there. So that's something that after a while can get a bit frustrating. But it's definitely just another world there. We slept, apart from the ones I mentioned, we stayed at this canyon. And so many things.
Foça, you remember Foça?
Yeah, Foça was amazing.
Was amazing
Cast
there.
by the beach. It's just incredible. Charlene also went to volunteer with the dogs, which is a bit of a problem over there. We've done some fun things as well, like paragliding. You jumped off the mountain.
Yeah,
So
it was amazing. Yeah, really nice.
I don't know, like thinking about Turkey every time just makes us want to go back.
And also the weather. The weather there was warm. So for us, you know, because we love the mountains and we stay most of the time in the mountains, something different.
Yeah, you don't want it when it gets too hot. But we were lucky we went in spring until summer and then we just got out of there when it started getting hot. But yeah, Turkey's number 2. It used to be number 1, but we've got a new number 1.
Yeah.
Anything else on Turkey though first?
Yeah, between number 1 and number 2 there is a big difference, right? Like
Yeah, they're totally opposite.
Turkey is so I don't know how to describe it, but there is like history, food,
Freedom.
friendly people, beaches, mountains, but there aren't a lot of forests and like hiking paths.
Yeah,
you know?
there are forests, but they're not really set up for hiking.
Yeah, so the one we went, I just stepped back because of the snakes, you know. I
Yeah.
stayed back because I was afraid.
But that's normal though. Like, there are some nice hikes though. There's one which is like a trail that goes all around the south. But by the time we got there, we were just swimming. It was getting a bit too
It
hot.
was warm,
So we weren't
yes.
looking to do any hikes.
So between number 1 and number 2 there is a bit of difference.
Yeah, they're both
but-
beautiful, I'd say, but you wouldn't compare them together.
No.
Because number 2 is just like on one side, Turkey, and then number 1 is the total opposite. And
And
number
that
1,
is?
yeah. It's a country that we visited last year as well for the very first time. It's the furthest north we have ever been. It's a country that begins with N, full of fjords, full of mountains, beautiful rivers. What else? Trolls,
Fish
Fish.
everywhere,
ferries,
peaks everywhere.
bridges. It's Norway.
Norway.
If I was to explain Norway in one sentence, it would be what I explained about Scotland And what I explained about Switzerland just merged together and on steroids. It's just such a huge country, and it's beautiful.
And it's free for us as well, because you can just go and park everywhere.
In the north we felt a good sense of freedom. And I know a lot of people will say that Norway is expensive, and we did
it is expensive.
spend a lot of money there on certain things, but in our opinion you can't compare it to Switzerland, because as I mentioned, in Switzerland everything is expensive. In Norway we found that it's mostly the food that was expensive.
At the supermarket and at the restaurants.
Yeah, like in regards to travelling, when we started going north, we were paying $1.50 for diesel. So I know the first time we filled up, it was like from the wrong station for sure. It was like $2.40 or $2.30, which is really expensive, same level as Switzerland. But then when we got in the north, we were paying $1.50. So that's really cheap. There's a whole network of service stations, which for motorhomes and vans, which are free. So that's amazing. You save money on that.
Sightseeings are free
Sightseeings
as well.
are mostly free, yeah.
Some places in Europe, to go and see a waterfall, you have to pay.
Yeah,
and there
and stuff like
it was
that,
just free. And that's something that we really love. In Norway, it's very common for people to go with their cars as well and sleep in their cars, or just camp outside, because there's no one living there. And we saw so many people doing this, and we saw a lot of bike packing as well.
So everything,
Bikepackers, sorry. And yeah, it was just so cool, right, to see something like this, because we don't really get to see this. I mean, we live in a van, but mostly we see other van lifers, but we never saw people just camping outside in a campsite.
Yeah, Norway was cool because we went in summer as well, so we got to interact with some different people, whereas now in winter, I don't know if you live in your van yourself or you've been out yourself to spend some time in different
van life
places.
is lonely.
It is quite lonely. Like, we don't speak to a lot of people. Like, we are surrounded with vans here, but we haven't really spoke to anyone. Obviously, it's the language barrier, but also the cold. Whereas in summer, there's always someone outside doing something.
And we're working as well.
Yeah, that's another thing as well. So
we can't just stop and just drink, with them.
Yeah. It's very tempting. To just stop and have a drink. But yeah, seeing that we're kind of doing this full time, and that we have to kind of approach it differently as to someone who maybe went up to Norway for 2 weeks and is just having a blast every day. So yeah,
we did it slowly. If you are planning a trip to Norway, guys, make sure to fill the van with food. If you do that and you just spend your money on diesel,
save some money, for
you get to see a lot of Norway.
Now, we were there for 2 months, I think, in total. So the food didn't really last us that long. It only lasted us about 2 weeks.
We don't have a lot of space.
Yeah, and after Sweden, we were waiting for Holly's test results. And as soon as we got the green light, we just went to the supermarket and then
quickly
drove to Norway. We didn't really have time to stock up properly. We just stocked up a little bit. But apart from that, like, the campsites are normal prices. The laundry is so cheap over there.
Oh yeah, the laundry. We were surprised, right?
So surprised. Like, stuff like that. We thought everything was going to be expensive. And that was really, really nice to experience that. And then in the south, you've got the fjords. The road network is just perfect. Ferries are amazing to cross from one side to the other. We even went over to the Lofoten Islands, and that ferry was free. It was a 5-hour ferry. Took us to an island. We spent 1 or 2 nights there. And then the next day we went over to Lofoten, and that was all for free. Where did you find that? Obviously, this was really nice for us because we thought it was going to be much more expensive. And then apart from that, the landscape is just unreal. I will say, like, when you get to Lofoten and Senja, it's going to be a bit more expensive there because they're more tourist areas. But in regards to the landscapes, the mountains are insane. We did some amazing hikes. We saw some amazing peaks. We experienced the midnight sun as well, which is just
wow.
Incredible. Like, to be up there,
so incredible,
and have like that sunset, which is on pause for about 6 hours. Like, don't get me wrong, I've been seeing some videos the last few weeks of the Northern Lights and stuff like that, which looks amazing. But the midnight sun is just so beautiful, and it was our first time experiencing this fully. So it was a really, really nice experience. And I have to say, the landscape, because you've got the mountains by the sea, rivers, glaciers, lakes, forests, it's just everything that we need, everything that we like.
All together. It was an unforgettable experience for us. I still dream about Norway, to be honest. I really wish to go there this year as well, to tell you the truth.
Who
But
knows? Who knows? I don't know if we'll
Yeah.
get up there this year, but we definitely want to go up again. Like we mentioned, we love Denmark, we love Sweden, and we didn't mention Finland on the list, not because we didn't like it, just because we were there for a week only, so
Yeah.
we couldn't really judge it. But we definitely want to go up there as a whole. As you can tell from this video and from our previous videos, Scandinavia and the Nordic countries have had a big impact on us because we really enjoyed it so much, and yeah, it's just like a whole other world up there, different to what we used to.
if it wasn't that far,
Yeah,
you
we
know,
go
because
up
it's
every
so
year.
far to drive from Germany, from the south of Germany, up there, you know, considering Norway is like, how long is it? Like
Yeah, to go from
30
the south.
hours to go
Maybe
from
even
south?
more than that. Maybe even more than that. To go from the south to the north, it's a long time. And if we go up there, we don't want to go to the south. We want to go to the north as well.
Yeah.
And we spent a good 5 months, I think, in those 4 countries. So if we go up again, we definitely want to go and do the same. So I don't think it's on the cards for this year. Who knows? But I guess the year after or something, we would definitely try and go back up again
In
because
fact,
we're in love.
our last place that we visited in Norway, we were contemplating whether we go to the North Cap or not, but the drive there was 10 hours. So let's say 2 days just to get there, and then another 2 days to come back down, just to where we started. So yeah, we skipped that for that reason, because the drive was too long.
But that's another reason to go back now. We need to go and finish off what we started.
Yeah.
Anything else on
yeah.
Norway?
Oh, I'm still dreaming.
But that's your answer, boys and girls. Norway is number one,
one.
and will remain number one for now. If it ever changes, we'll let you know. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it interesting. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe
Give us a
and
thumbs up.
give us a thumbs up for this video, and feel free to check out any of our previous series, whether it's from Turkey, from Scandinavia, maybe from the UK when we went up to Scotland, or even the Albania Balkans trip. We've been to so many places.
I have a question for you guys. Where have you been? Like, where have you traveled? Are you going to any of these places that we mentioned here in this list?
And did we mess up maybe? Did we get anything wrong?
Yeah,
Did we
maybe.
miss somewhere?
Maybe.
know. We did
We're
this.
not experts, like.
Yeah, we did this list last night. So maybe later on we might say, oh, shit, we forgot this country.
And remember, with the van, we haven't traveled everywhere, to be honest. Like in Greece, Spain, Portugal, you
We
know.
know these are beautiful countries because we've been there. Like we rented cars like a few years
Yeah.
ago. We've been to Greece 2 times. We've been to Spain a few times and Portugal as well. But we've
but
never been with the van.
with the
So
van,
these are
never.
places that we want to visit and kind of get that experience. Because just like Turkey we went with the flight and rented a car, and then we went with the van and spent 3-4 months,
Yeah.
and it's just a whole different experience. So
And another thing
look
is.
forward to visit those places as well.
Yes, and another thing is that we visited more places like Netherlands,
Wales,
Croatia,
Montenegro, Bulgaria. Yeah,
Bulgaria.
so many places.
Yes, those places, they didn't make it to the top 10, but they're still beautiful, guys. I mean, if you're planning to go there, go, because it's really nice.
So yeah, so that's it for today's video. Again, hope you enjoyed it, and let us know what your favourite country is at least.
Yep.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Ciao. Had a crazy moment yesterday, and I cut all of my fringe.
Forget your hairstyle. Show them Holly's new neck warmer.
Oh yeah, I have to show you this. I made this for her. Oh yeah, we forgot to mention her. Look at her. I made this for her.
Keeping her warm.
Yeah. She was asleep. Say bye.